Hi everyone, CFL Park Hopper here, and today we're going to talk about which water park would be best for your family when you come on your Orlando vacation. This is a question that I get often. So people want to know, should I go to Universal's Volcano Bay? Should I go to SeaWorld's Aquatica? Should I go to the Disney water parks, which are Typhoon Lagoon or Blizzard Beach? What's the best? And really, that is a subjective answer because it's going to depend on what you are most interested in doing. Each of the water parks I feel has different features, different kinds of slides that are going to be better for some people's taste versus others at each park. And if you have a family with kids, I think some of the parks do a better job of having good kid areas, and some of them aren't as great. So we're going to talk about each one of the parks, and that will help you to get a better decision made. So the first park we're going to talk about is Universal's Volcano Bay. And to me, this is the best one right now in Orlando because it is the most state-of-the-art. It is pretty new. It opened in summer of 2018, I believe. And because it's so new, they do have virtual queue for everything, which means that you get a wristband when you come into the park, and then you tap that wristband at locations and get a time to return. Kind of similar, with Disney. If you go to Disney and you have your Magic Band with the Fast Pass, it's similar to that. But you can only tap and wait for one ride at a time, but you're basically waiting in a virtual line. So you go over to a ride, it could be like the water coaster or any of the water slides, and they have a touch point where you're gonna tap, and if it's like an hour wait, then you're waiting virtually with your wristband, and then during that hour, you can be doing anything else in the park that says Ride Now. Some of the water slides won't have long enough lines, so they'll be at Ride Now where you can just get in line for those slides. And they have two types of rivers. They have a lazy river, and they also have a rapid river where you can put on a life jacket and kind of cruise along through the waves. And they also have a wave pool. So any of that stuff you could be doing while you're waiting for your time. You could be laying out in the sun, relaxing. You could be eating. They have a lot of great restaurants to eat at inside of Volcano Bay as well. So any of that you can be doing while you're waiting. And then when it's your time, your wristband will buzz and let you know, hey, it's time to get in line. And then your wait then in the slide line is maybe about usually 10 minutes or less. So it's really doable. And I love Volcano Bay for that because it's easy to do a lot of things, I think, in my day at Volcano Bay versus going to other parks where I have to just stand in line for slides and you're waiting that whole hour in the slide line, and that gets really tedious. Another great feature that I like about Volcano Bay is that most of the slides are family raft rides. And that means they take like 3, 4, or 5 people on each raft. And so it's fun to come with your family or in larger groups. And the great thing about that is the slides have raft elevators so that you don't have to carry your raft up the stairs. I love that. You just walk up the stairs, and at the top they have the raft elevator and the raft is waiting for you. So I like that feature to Volcano Bay as well. I like all of the food options at Volcano Bay. Like I said, they have really good food, and it's just a really fun park. I really like the whole atmosphere of it. So I highly recommend Volcano Bay at Universal. Now, as far as if you have young kids, Volcano Bay is more of a thrilling park, and I believe that most of their slides, you're going to have to check on their website to make sure. But I kind of think that most of their slides are around like 48 inches. So to do any of those like family rides I was talking about, or definitely their body slides, you have to be a little bit taller. And if you go onto their website, they will definitely be able to tell you the slide heights. They do have a really nice kiddie area though, that the kids have their own slides and their own splash pad area and things like that. So there is an area for children. But as far as like being able to bring your kids onto some of the rafts, some of them you probably could, but some of them you may not be able to. So double check that as far as family friendly. It may be better if your kids are older, and they do have more high speed thrill slides, I would say as well. Let's move on now to SeaWorld's Aquatica water park. And Aquatica, in some ways, I think is similar to Volcano Bay in its thrill level. They do have a lot more thrilling slides, I think, than Disney does. They have drop slides, and Volcano Bay and Aquatica both have drop slides where you kind of get into the capsule and then they push the button and the floor falls and you go through the tubes. So both of those parks have those. They also have some family raft slides at Aquatica. And they have some individual slides as well. Their wave pool isn't that great. It's my least favorite of any place. They're small. and not too exciting, but they do have a fun rapid river, just like Volcano Bay, where you put the life jacket on and float around, which I enjoy that a lot. And they have a lazy river, which is kind of small and kind of cramped, but it's nice. It's okay. It's fun. So I like Aquatica as far as on the same thrill level as Volcano Bay, but it's not virtual queue, so you do have to stand in line for the slides. In the summer months when it's busy, you could be standing in line for an hour for each slide. And most of their slides, you're going to have to carry your raft up the stairs. It's not like Volcano Bay where they'll have the raft. The only ones would be they have 2 big family slides where there you won't have to carry the raft. But if you have like a 1-person or 2-person slides, you're carrying from the bottom. So that is the difference. I do like to go to Aquatica. It's a little bit different than Volcano Bay, but in some ways it's similar. I guess that's the best way to explain it. Different meaning that they have some different rides than Volcano Bay, so I like that. And similar meaning I like the thrill level as well, just like I like the thrill level at Volcano Bay. So I do like that about it. As far as children, I think they have a cool children's area. They have a couple of children's areas, in fact. And one, they have this huge jungle play area, and it has water splashing out of it, and there's like 3 or 4 slides attached to it, and the parents can go into that area with the kids, and I think that's a great feature, so families can be having fun together. And they also have some kiddie slides with inner tubes and things, and I know the parents can go on the slides with the kids on those too. So I do like the children's areas at Aquatica, and if I had younger children, I think I would choose to go to Aquatica versus Volcano Bay. So I hope that helps you with that. They do have good food options. They have usually a dine all day option at Aquatica, where you can buy a wristband and it's all you can eat the whole day throughout the day. And you can check into those options as well. I think it's called all day dining. So if I had a water park pass to Disney, I would definitely spend time at Typhoon Lagoon. I love their wave pool. It is a really awesome wave pool, and I think it's the best one in Orlando. So if you're into wave pools, I would pick Typhoon Lagoon out of any of the 4 parks. It by far has the best one of those. It has a great lazy river that's really big, really long. Blizzard Beach does this as well. They both have really long lazy rivers, so that's great. I love to get in the inner tube and float around, and that was one of my favorite things to do when I had a Disney water park pass, was just enjoy their lazy rivers. I like Typhoon Lagoon because it has a lot of single-person slides. They have body slides, and they also have a couple of single-person inner tube slides in Lagoon. Blizzard Beach has more thrilling slides. It has a really tall, straight-down drop slide called Summit Plummet. I am not too into things like that, so it's a little bit over my thrill level. So I was never too interested in that, but they have some other nice, smaller slides that I did like. But I think overall, I liked all of the slides overall at Typhoon Lagoon better. They have a water coaster there and a nice family raft ride as well that's relatively new called Misadventure Falls. So if I were to pick between the 2 Disney parks, if I could only go to one water park at Disney, I would choose Typhoon Lagoon. But if you like more drop slides and speed slides, then I would pick Blizzard Beach. So that's a way to tell those 2 apart. As far as kid areas, Blizzard Beach has by far cooler areas for kids than Typhoon Lagoon does. The Typhoon Lagoon kiddie area is kind of small. It is more of like a splash pad type area. At Blizzard Beach, they have a couple different areas. They have they have an area for younger kids, and then they have an area for like your intermediate level kids too. And I think they kind of have some great interactive things for those kids. So if I had kids, and that was my main factor, I would probably pick Blizzard Beach over Typhoon Lagoon. If you're looking at going to one park for all of Orlando, then I hope these factors will help you to decide that based on what I told you today. And if you can check out multiple parks in Orlando, maybe a Disney park and maybe either the SeaWorld park or the Universal park, I think going to 2 would be really fun to do on your vacation. As far as best times of year for water parks, summer, of course, is going to be the peak time for water parks. Keep in mind that in the summer, we get rain every afternoon, between the hours of 3 and 5 particularly. So you would want to go to the water parks early in the morning when they open. It's already hot when the sun rises, so the earlier the better. I know Volcano Bay, I believe all the parks may be open around 9 in the summer. And I know that Volcano Bay, if you're staying on resort properties at Universal, will do an hour early admission in the summer. So you would actually be starting at 8, but it would be well worth it to get in there and get stuff done before the rest of the crowd rolls in. Coming to a water park around 11 or 12 is going to be already cutting yourself short, because clouds will start rolling in sometimes as early as 2 or 3, and they will have to close the parks down when there's lightning. So they will open them back up again on the same day once the storms go away. But while they're having the storms, they're going to have to shut everything down. So keep that in mind if you're doing a one-day ticket. The earlier you can get there, the better. A lot of the parks too will stay open late into the evening in the summertime, like sometimes 8 o'clock at night. But it just depends with that rain, what time it comes and what time it finishes. Sometimes if it doesn't start till 5, it can rain all the way through the evening, and then nothing will be open. Other times it'll, start around 3 and it'll be done between 4:30 and 5. And then you'd have a nice evening to do the water park if you were going to go there after the theme parks to cool down. So you will really have to gauge that on the weather. If you're coming here in the fall or in the spring, that is a great time of year for water parks, especially like early fall, like September through mid-October, or I would say late spring, like mid-April through May. It's definitely going to be hot enough in those months, usually still in the 90s, and a lot of times drier than our summer, so you can get more time in. If you're coming in the winter months or late fall to early spring, November basically to March, any of those months, November, December, January, February, March, it's really going to depend on your trip, and you won't be able to plan till probably the week of, depending on the weather forecast. Some weeks will be in the 80s and other weeks will be in the 50s. So you'll just have to check the weather for the week you're coming. And I would maybe, like, if you're really wanting to do water parks and you know what time of year you're coming, maybe tentatively plan water parks, but you won't be able to officially decide on them, like I said, until you're about arriving here for your vacation and really check that weather forecast. So I hope I've given you a lot of good tips on how best to pick a water park here in Orlando. And if you liked today's video, hit like and subscribe down below to see more. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified every time we upload a new video, which is usually once a week. And thanks for watching.